I am winning on all fronts limitlessly.
I have made tremendous improvement at work through delegating and empowering teams.
We started with the law of intentionality, which specifically makes it clear that growth cannot just happen. You have to be intentional about your growth.
CTO Africa Leadership brings you the Grow Journey, a series of masterclasses based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. In this 10-week virtual growth accelerator, you will acquire the skills to thrive and flourish as you evolve into a more impactful and fulfilled individual. You will master the art of personal and professional development as you craft and execute your customized growth plan. Limited seats available. Register now for the next cohort.
Hey there, join the next cohort of CTO Ghana's growth journey.
The next cohort is coming on. Get involved and your life will never be the same.
Hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're joining us. This is the Leadership Platform, and we are on our 179th session. So welcome again, and if this is your first time in joining us, we are happy to have you. And please take a moment to announce yourself in the comment section, put in where you are joining us and what you would like to learn from the topic that we're going to share with you today. So my name is Sarah Jessie Appiah, and I'll be co-hosting this event with Sam, who will join us later on. And today you are in for a treat because, as we know, we are in the digital revolution. And we have an amazing speaker whom you have met, but today you get to meet her very, very well. So meanwhile, you know that we have our YouTube channels. If you're listening to us and you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, as well as our Facebook and also on LinkedIn. This is where we are streaming, and we'll really love to connect with you, where you can also, if you do subscribe, to be notified whenever we load something new so you can be able to access it. So without much ado, Joy, who has been our co-host and host for over several months now, we get her to share with us. Joy, if you would like to join me on the screen, we'll just have a little conversation for the viewers to be able to get to know you much better. So Joy is no stranger to us. And I would like just to have a quick interview with Joy to tell us who she is, where she was born. We all know she's a digital consultant. We have read her profile, but let's hear from the horse's own mouth. Joy, welcome to your platform today.
Thank you, Sarah Jessie, and good evening to everyone, wherever you're joining from. You know, it's always a pleasure to be here. And today I get to sit in a very interesting seat, and I'm excited to see how it goes. Like Sarah Jessie said, so I was born in Koforidua. For those of you who know Ghana, it's in the eastern region, a very humble, simple town. That's where I was born. That's where I went for my primary education. And then I moved on to the secondary school, Abeyie Girls, where I got, a bit of my discipline and tough leadership from. Yes, then I went on to study telecoms engineering at KNUST to become a telecoms engineer. But that dream of becoming an engineer was short-lived. Of course, I did a few things in that space till I discovered the people development space. So I think I prefer to work with the human beings rather than the cables and the poles. So that's what has really, navigated my path to CTL today. And today I'm glad to be working with an amazing team at CTL. My journey of, starting a tech company, Abeyie Innovation Studio, is actually one of the reasons that I'm getting to speak on this topic, because it shaped my understanding working with some corporates, working with some SMEs, to understand how this is playing out in our different spaces. So basically, that's a little bit about me. And for things I do for fun, I would say I love to paint. I discovered my painting journey during the lockdown. So I always tell people that one thing about me is that I believe in self-discovery, that every single day, if only you're open and you're willing, you discover so much more about yourself on a daily basis. So that's a little bit about me. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So great. So you did talk a little bit about where you grew up. When it comes to your family, do you have sisters? Do you have brothers? Where do you stand in the family life?
So I have three siblings. We're a strong team of four. I have two brothers and a big sister, and I happen to be sandwiched in between all of them. So the third born, and yeah, so that's where we had a very good upbringing. My dad is a pastor, and so we happen to grow up in a very religious or spiritual environment. So that also shaped my upbringing. Yes.
Great. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your background with us. I know what you have is a lot for us, and we'll go deeper with you. And therefore, I don't want to waste too much time, just giving you the space and take us away, Joy. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, SJ. Appreciate the entire team of CTL and for the privilege to be sharing on this platform. I want to just salute Uncle Sam, a very dear person to me. I think that sometimes my dad always says this thing, that there are defining moments in your life. Sometimes you meet certain people that just take you from one level to another. I remember a very casual conversation about CTL starting their digital transformation of getting a learning hub, a website, and something that their customers can engage with. And that's how we met and we started working together. And Uncle Sam he always says, I trust fully until, you disappoint. So he gave me the opportunity to just start working with the team to see what I had to offer. And I think that journey is what has brought me here today. I have the opportunity of leading the team and helping him to chart this vision that CTO has of bringing personal development and leadership to this continent. So I'm passionate about what I do, and I hope that today what I have to share, you'll find use for it in your space as well. Okay. All right. I see a few comments coming in. So I want to just encourage you, keep it coming. We're so glad to have you on this show. So today I'll be speaking on what I've titled Digital Leadership, how leaders can leverage technology for workforce effectiveness. It's quite a mouthful, but then I just hope that we can share some ideas together, because I wouldn't say I'm a digital or a tech expert. I've got some learnings over the years, and I hope that I can share that with you. So my name is Joy Bonsu Schmutz. I try to give some sort of a way to pronounce it, because I always have people laughing and asking me how I pronounce it. So it's Schmutz. Okay. All right. So just as a way of beginning, I would love to have a sense of who is in the room, and what kind of industries you work in. So if you can find the chat feature below, beside, beneath, wherever it is. I'd love to know which industry you belong to. And this would help us to talk a bit more about the digital transformations that are happening in different spaces. So if you're in the hospitality industry, the education sector, government sector, wherever you are, I would love for you to put it in the chat. I know I'm surrounded by lots of coaches. So there's the coaching industry, there's the finance industry. So wherever you are, I would love for you to put it in the chat. And then what kind of changes you are seeing in these spaces. As we go along, I'll be referencing some of these comments that you share with me so that it can be more relevant to you. Okay. All right. So let's just dive right into it. So a few years ago, I happened to work with a multinational organization. And in that particular year, about 2015, 2014, there was a global employee survey. And I remember that working with the HR team at that time, our task was to pick out the top 3 pain points that were cutting across the entire organization. And the topmost issue that we identified at that time was internal processes. And everybody would ask, why internal processes? Everybody would think that rewards and benefits would top the list when it came to what people were looking for, what people desired. We always say people want more pay. But it was surprising to see that across the entire organization, internal processes was the biggest pain point for the people. People would leave an organization because there are bottlenecks in the system. There are issues that don't get resolved because one person starts a process and it ends up somewhere, or somebody has to repeat themselves 1,000 times on one issue. The only places that I know that when you go, you have to repeat your story over and over again are the hospital. When something happens, the doctor will ask you, you have to tell your story to every doctor that comes, or the police station. You have to mention your story over and over again. But here is a company where you're seeing people having to start their stories or make a request multiple times. So that was a big pain point. And that led to the company beginning a digital transformation in the organization. So we know the word digital transformation. So I want to just introduce these 3 parts for my presentation today. I'll talk about what changes are happening, what digital transformation and digital leadership mean, and some of the key elements of that. And we'll also go into some ideas, some thoughts, some trends of what's working and what's not. Okay. All right. So very quickly, this is a chat that I'm sure some people have seen. You may have seen this around because this was published in 2016 by the World Economic Forum. So they surveyed over 3 million people across 9 different industries to pick out what the top 10 skills of the future is. Their goal is to help organizations prepare themselves for what the future holds. So in 2016, this result was published, and you can see that very quickly we're coming to 2025. Next year, that 10-year prediction is already up. And you can see that we have some of the top trends that you have in there. You have your analytical skills, but the 2 points that I want to highlight are your technology use and technology design. So technology use has been highlighted as one of the top skills globally that individuals, employees need to have to be competitive, or skills that employers are going to be looking forward to by 2025. So this was given 10 years ago so that people can prepare themselves for the demand of the workforce. So if you saw this a few years ago, you probably would have been preparing yourself in one area or the other. And if you look right on top of technology, you have what we call leadership. And so it's very key, the work that CTL is doing, because this is the kind of skills that employers are looking for in the 21st century. Okay, so I know that when we talk about digital leadership, we'll look at what changes are happening today. What changes are happening today? And very firstly, I know most of you may have heard of Zoom. I'll put my slide back up very shortly. You may have heard of Zoom, and Zoom is your meeting or virtual digital platform, which allows you to meet people online and engage. And Zoom, since January, has already released 54 of its updates. Can you imagine? 54 updates have been released since January. That's how fast the changes are happening. So you may think that, software updates come yearly, like maybe you have your Apple iOS updates, they come yearly. There are some platforms that are even changing faster. For those of you who know Canva, which is your graphic design platform for making designs, presentations, all of that, just in the last quarter, Canva has released 30 new features. So if you're thinking, I don't belong to the technology game, by the time you get your head in the game, you would be so, Sarah Jessie and Uncle Sam will say BBC, you'll be so far behind that you will not be able to catch up. And unfortunately, we are even playing the catch-up game because we are not innovating enough. We are not solving problems with innovation enough. So we end up even borrowing what's happening in the Western world so much. And another point which I want to highlight, which is about some of the rapid changes happening, is the demography of people we have in our workforce. By 2030, Africa's youth population is expected to make up 42% of the world's youth population, which accounts for 75% of those under 35. Can you imagine that? So the whole of Africa, if we're looking for people under 35, they will constitute 75% of the population. So it tells you that our workforce is also going to change, because eventually you're going to be having your workforce full of young people, millennials, Generation X, and now we're talking about Generation Alpha. So this is a point of concern. This is an area that we need to think about as leaders when we talk about digital transformation. And another very exciting, I don't think it's exciting, but maybe scary facts for leaders, employers, is that millennials are spending an average of 2.7 years in a job, less than 3 years. That's how fast millennials are changing jobs, and even Gen Zs even faster. So we have to consider all these changes when we think about leading our teams. Okay. So I'm sure when I mention all these stats, it's like, okay, so they're telling us digital transformation, right? Yes, there is the need to transform your organization to meet the needs of the current and of the future. But we're talking about digital transformation and digital leadership. So digital transformation is when an organization goes through a metamorphosis of including digital tools, digital processes that make their work more efficient, make it faster, make it more autonomous for the organization to be able to be competitive. Because one of the mistakes people make is they think that the future, some people are looking at blockchain. Oh, in the next 5 years, my company will implement blockchain. People have been implementing blockchain forever, in the last decade. When we talk about AI, people have been implementing AI since the 1950s. Okay, so organizations need to understand the need for the organization in order to transform themselves. Okay, if you look at these two pictures side by side, Henry Ford's, Henry Ford's initial concept of what a car, an automobile looks like, where we have a real horse, an animal that is supposed to help us move from one point to another. Today, we're talking about driverless cars. We're talking about smart vehicles that are keeping all these abilities to maneuver in a processor or in its memory to help you navigate the road without you having to drive yourself. That's very interesting. I'm not sure Henry Ford actually thought of this, but over the years, this is the transition and the transformation that has happened. If you take a look at this picture as well, I'm sure Uncle Sam and maybe Sarah Jessie would remember. Maybe those days when they used to apply for jobs, they would have to time themselves and say, okay, this letter would reach Accra by, 2 weeks time. So I have to go and visit the post office and check my post box to see if I've gotten a reply from the company. Wow. I can't even imagine how those days used to look like. But today you sit in the comfort of your home, you hit easy apply on LinkedIn, and in a few days you get a prompt, you get a notification on your phone that your application has been received. We are moving on to the next stage, maybe interview stage. You have an email that drafts everything nicely for you. So in the comfort of your home. So things have evolved and things have changed. And so the need for organizations, the need for leaders to understand and to adapt. And so with all these transitions, and I'd love to hear what's happening in your industry. What are some of the things that are changing? What are the things that have changed? Back in the day, to think of church service on social media was unheard of. Like, don't even think about it. But today, COVID also taught us that we could actually have services live and people could stream from anywhere in the world. So this transformation is beckoning a certain kind of leadership. We talk of leadership, but what kind of leader are we developing to manage these kind of changes that are happening in the industry and in the organization? Not just any leader can take up the responsibility of leading an organization that is implementing artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, different technologies in the organization. That's where the concept of digital leadership comes in. So digital leadership simply refers to the strategic and effective use of digital technologies by leaders to drive organizational transformation, to enhance productivity, and to create value in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. So the emphasis is on the leader. The transformation is already happening, but the kind of leader we need that can be strategic enough to use the technology for driving organizational transformation, for driving productivity. So that's actually what I'm talking about today. And in my next slide, I'm going to be talking about some of the elements. So if you're going to be a digital leader, if you're going to embrace digital technology in your space, these are some of the elements you must embrace. These are some of the elements you must imbibe in order to be able to effectively lead an organization that is undergoing its digital transformation. So the first one is vision and strategy. The digital leader must be able to envision, where is the organization going to? What kind of changes do I foresee in the next 3 to 5 years, or even a long-term vision, so that you can craft strategies around what type of technology or digital tools your people need or your organization needs. Not every technology would work for your team, but the leader understanding the vision would be able to work with his team to craft a strategy. Strategies around people, what kind of talents we need in the organization, what kind of organizational setup or structure do we need. All these feed into how the strategy is actually executed. The second one is about digital fluency and digital literacy. So it talks about how abreast you are with the trends and with the times. Do you even understand what it means? Do you understand how to implement a digital transformation strategy? So it's important to understand the language, the lingua that goes with the digital transformation. So I talk about integrating existing or new systems with old workflows. So I remember doing this for an organization, a small organization, and I introduced a CRM system, which is a customer relationship management system. And I said, guys, this is really good. It's going to help you understand the behavior of your customers. It can do A, it can do B, it can do C. Okay. And then, I wasn't part of the whole execution. I did the trainings and all of that, and I left. A few months later, I come back and I try to figure out, okay, what's happening and what do I need? What do you guys need in the system? So I asked, are you guys using the platform? Oh, no, we are no longer using the platform. Why? Well, I think it was too complicated. And I said, that means something was amiss. There was an existing workflow, but probably the ability to ensure that the team that is going to work with it, it fits into their workflow. So we don't just bring a technology, slam it on the team and expect it to work. So these are things that a digital leader must understand, how to integrate old workflows with new workflows. Then we talk about innovation. To be a successful digital leader, you must be able to create room for people to experiment. I can't even imagine trying to implement an AI in an organization and not allowing people to make mistakes. You eventually stifle the growth of the organization. So innovation as a trait, innovation as a key principle for a leader is important to help them implement. And also being agile enough to adapt or to change your ways if what you are introducing doesn't work. There are a lot of people or leaders like that. We want to do this, our competitors are doing this, so we introduce this system. And it's clearly not working for your people, but you are standing your ground. You want this to work. And you end up frustrating the entire team. So you need to be innovative and you need to be agile. Agile simply means you can change, you can adapt to new ways of doing things. Another key element of being an effective digital leader is data-driven decisions. Everywhere I go, any business I begin to work with, I start from data because I cannot make any effective decision without understanding behaviors, without understanding what's happening with your clients. Why did this client do business with you last year? And this she didn't come back, or the organization didn't come back. You need to understand those things. So data is very important for any leader who wants to make lasting or impactful decisions. You need to understand the strategic impact of your decisions. You need to be able to understand how to optimize your operations. Because if I need to change or beef up the HR team, I need to be able to have the numbers to support why I need more HR staff versus why I need more legal staff. So this is all based on data and facts. Okay, so as if you want to be a digital leader, if you want to be ahead of the curve, you need to be ready to understand, collect data and understand the insight that you have. Then the next one is about collaboration. So I don't think you can effectively implement a successful digital strategy without collaboration. People need to work together. People need to be able to come together, engage, and be empowered to let this work. It's not a one-man show. And when we talk about collaboration in this stage, some of the things or the initiatives that you are introducing must be real time. For example, you talk about working with teams in different offices. You have an office in Accra, you have an office in Koforidua, and you don't have the teams speaking to each other. Your platforms are all offline. How can people connect? How can people know what the changes that are happening? So you have platforms like, not promoting any platform, but you have a platform like Asana, or you have even a platform like Google Docs. You're editing a document, yet somebody else can update it on the other end. Or you use a platform like Trello, or all these collaborative platforms, or Slack, that help people to work real time. So there has to be the mindset of opening up your systems for people to contribute and engage in these systems, empowering them with the right tools that they need. The next point around user-centric is so important. You can't build a system because you've read that it's the latest tool. Who is going to use the tool? If your people are, let's say, baby boomers in your organizations, please let the text be bigger. Let the font sizes be bigger. Don't give them small text and Sarah just will tell you, please, I can't read it. So your solutions, you must think about personalizing it, customizing it to work with the people who are working with you. Today, everybody is building an app. If we're a bank, the bank is building an app. But how does that app work with the users? What kind of users do you have? The users for maybe a game platform are different from the users of a banking platform. So understanding your users would help you build a solution that works for them. And that actually dovetails into change management. The moment you build something without the input of the people going to use it, you are just setting yourself up for rebellion. Because when we talk about change management, that is the most crucial part of any implementation process. If you do not plan your change management, you have people reject your solution. It may be the right solution, but people may reject your solution. So it's important to prepare guidelines, nominate champions, be ready to open up for people to know, how do I navigate this? How do I do this? How do I do that? In one of my previous organizations, there was a massive digital transformation, which was coming from the group level to the regional level to the local opcos. And I remember being selected from the HR team to be a SPOC, so a SPOC or a representative for HR, to say, how can you work with the bigger teams from commercial, from finance, from business development to create something that works with the people? So we had spokes from different functions that came together to form the working group, so that when we are cascading or the projects have been implemented, somebody won't come from a different department and say, I had no clue about this. I'm not going to download this app you claim would help us solve my problems, because people were involved from the very beginning. So it's important to have a robust change management plan and even have in place people who are not ready to adopt it in the immediate term. And also promote continuous learning. Be ready to promote continuous learning, provide infographics, videos, things that keep people reading about what you're trying to implement. And then the very last one, if you're going to be a digital leader, you need to have the mindset, the security, the ethics, it has to be core and central. Because you can build a fantastic fintech platform and overnight you have somebody intrude into your system, steal your data, and begin to sell your customers' information for money. So it has to be all around. You need to think about these two elements, security and ethics. And when we talk about ethics, today, I can tell you data is the new, they say gold, some people say oil. So if data is the new oil, it means people will do anything to get hold of people's data. And I heard someone say that if you're using a platform and the platform is free, it means you are the commodity. So yes, you download the app for free, but it means it's your data that's being monetized. If you think about Facebook, if you think about Instagram, WhatsApp, these are platforms that you download for free. You can upgrade to whatever you want, but your behavior on those platforms are what have been analyzed over time to help businesses to say, okay, Joy will open her app at 8 a.m. This is her behavior over time. She's going to open an interior decoration page. So put ads about wallpapers, flowers, trees, plants, and she's going to click on it and she's going to make a purchase. So my behavior over time has been learned by this platform to enable people pay. So the companies are paying for the ads and they are using my behavior to trigger those ads. So people can go any length to intrude into people's ethical space, people's data, just so that they can make gains for it. So if you're going to be an effective digital leader, you need to have these considerations. Don't be naive about the fact that, the page says your cookies are protected or your data is protected. You have to know how to protect your system. Very recently, there was an airline that was hacked, and companies, their customers' data was on ransom. So the hackers say you have to pay this amount of money before, or so that we don't leak your data. So it's important to have consideration on these key elements as a digital leader. Please, if any of them stands out to you, just comment in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking. In my topic, I mentioned the word effectiveness, and it's because today anybody can just pick a digital tool, a digital platform, and just slap it on any organization. But is it going to make you effective? Is it going to make your workforce effective? Is it going to make your team effective? You remember the definition I shared about what digital leadership? It's about driving organizational transformation and productivity. So if you are implementing a solution with your organization, okay, we're revamping our socials, we're getting a website. The end goal is to drive productivity, is to drive effectiveness for the organization. And John Maxwell has a very interesting quote that I like to share. He says, efficiency is the foundation of survival, but effectiveness is the foundation of success. And I just thought, why not just share a little bit about the difference between the two? Because sometimes we can get caught up in being efficient and not become effective. So I thought I'll just share these two pictures with you to just at least give you an understanding of what the difference between efficiency is and effectiveness is. So think about a call center, and a call center whose agents have been given a guideline on how to respond to clients. So you call, they greet you nicely and very politely. They know the words to use, and then you tell them your issue. Then at the end of the conversation, they tell you, unfortunately, I'm not able to handle your case, and so I would forward you to the technical team and we'll come back to you, etc. And you are trying to tell the customer agent that, okay, I understand you have the protocol, but this is my problem. So is there a way you can explain something to me? I've had these countless of times. And they would go back and read the scripts to you over and over again. That is efficiency, because they have KPIs. Make sure that maybe the customer resolution is within a certain particular time frame, 1 minute. If it goes beyond, there's an assumption that maybe you were not solving the problem efficiently. So efficiency is mainly output over input. Whether the output is the actual output, solving the problem, or it's just the output. I'm done. I've solved your problem. So today, how many resolutions have you had? 100. Oh, well done. Were the resolutions meeting the needs of the people? No. So we think about this when we talk about systems and processes. While effectiveness is about going the next step to ensure that the output is an actual output. I solved her problem and she's a happy customer. So if you look at the graph on the right side, which is comparing, which has the efficiency against the effectiveness. If you are not efficient and you are not effective, automatically you have a poor performance. Let me try and can I just blow it up a little bit? Okay, let me just blow it up so that you can see it. Poor performance. If you have low efficiency, low effectiveness, and high efficiency, we're talking about wasted efforts, because effectiveness is sort of like going the right direction. So if you are doing the right things in the wrong direction, it's called wasted efforts. So efficiency, doing things right. Okay, this is how it's supposed to be done. So I do things right. And effectiveness is doing the right thing. Think of it as going in the right direction. So if you have low efficiency and you have high effectiveness, it's a lost opportunity. You are trying to solve a customer problem, and because you are doing the right thing, you are trying everything possible to solve the customer's problem, you don't even do your right checks. Because when you call maybe the bank and you're trying to solve a problem, they'll ask you, can I have your date of birth? Can I have this information to verify who you are? But probably I'm so caught on trying to do the right thing, I don't do things right. So then you have lost opportunity. But then peak performance is when you're combining doing things right with doing the right things, gives you the peak performance. And so we must have this in mind as we think about implementing solutions in our organization. Okay, so I decided to put down this employee life cycle as we talk about workforce effectiveness. Working with the HR for a number of years, this is a very key picture that I think leaders, let's look at it again. So you have your employee life cycle, which starts from where you are when you attract people into your organization. How do you attract people into your organization? To recruitment, what are the systems, what are the practices of actually getting people to be part of your team? Then you have your next step where you're talking about their development. How are people developing? How are they engaged? How are they performing? Then your retention, then your exit, or other people would say separation. So this is where I'd like to share some few ideas on some digital leadership practices that you can use for your organization and your teams. Some are also best practices from work I've done, work that other organizations are doing to be able to get the best out of their team so that your teams are not caught going in a cyclical manner. They are spending 8 hours in a day, yet achieving very little results. Okay, so I'll start with the attraction part where we talk about trying to get the top talent. So you remember when I was talking about the elements, I talked about vision and strategy. The very first part of the success of digital leadership, or for a leader to be successful, the very first part is even getting the right fit for your organization. What kind of talent do you need in your workforce to make the digitization even work, to make the transformation? It could be anything. You need the right fit, the right cultural fit, the right value fit. So organizations like Zappos, this is a US-based organization, they are a retailer in shoes and clothes. For them, this is what they do. They also use digital job boards like LinkedIn. And one of the things they excel at is using their social media to showcase their organization's culture. So they record videos of the backstage, what the teams do, how the team meetings look like, so that from the very onset, the people who apply for jobs know exactly and understand what kind of value system they are getting themselves in. If the company is working remotely or flexi, the company is able to show potential employees what it looks like working for Zappos. And if you go to YouTube and check, they have a crazy, insane organizational culture, especially with the kind of freedom and innovative environment they create. And these are the reasons why they're able to attract those top talents. They give you a sneak peek into what the company's values is about. It's not just text on their careers page, which maybe sometimes becomes a disconnect between what needs to be done in-house and what the employee or the potential candidate sees. So it's important that if you want to attract people that fit your organization, you have a way using digital platforms, social media, your careers website to really showcase what your organization is all about, so that in the very word go, the like-minded people are attracted to your brand. So these are just very short things. If you also have some great ideas, please share them in the comment section. When we talk about recruitment, you have companies like Canonical. It's a distributed company. And when we talk about a distributed company, these are companies that they believe that they go where the talent is. So they don't have a physical space. They go where the talent is. That's a distributed company. And you also have to have that in mind, that new forms of organization are emerging. So if you stick to your extremely level hierarchical structure, you may lose a lot of the younger generation that wants time. They want to finish their work and then do something else. So they use AI to job match. They're able to use AI to job match. So on their careers portal, there's a space where you can describe what job you want. and they will pick a few things for you, and then you can match which job you want. So these are some of the things people are doing. I don't know if you've heard of applicant tracking systems. When I'm doing any CV masterclass or interview masterclass, I tell people that a lot of the careers portals of organizations have been embedded with these AI systems. When you upload your CV, it can put you to the left or to the right based on how it's able to scan your CV. So sometimes the too many graphicals on your CV can even prevent you from getting a job because the AI system was not able to read it. So companies are using this. And the reason I put this up there is because sometimes you have very high applicant rates. For one job, you're having 10,000 people apply. And you're asking yourself, okay, how is the recruitment team going to go through this? I remember at one point when Abeyie Innovation Studio was launching their volunteer program, we had over 500 applications. How do we make sure we go through everybody's CV, giving them equal opportunity and selecting the best? So we use systems like the CRMs that enable us to work in teams. So somebody would do the sifting, someone else will come in and schedule the interviews. Another person on the same platform can pick the information and schedule it for interviews. So we were able to use that to go through over 500 CVs and eventually select 40 people. So because today they tell you that the HR people, they spend 8 seconds looking at a CV. And I ask myself, 8 seconds? How is this going to be a fair process? Or you're probably going to miss some potential people. So you need to use systems that will support you and not just rely on the limitation of the human being, tiredness and all of that. Some companies are also using virtual career fairs to introduce students, mass recruitment, quick interviews, and give them a taste of what working in an organization will look like, so that before they get into real applications, they've made a decision on what they want. And it goes a long way to ease and to reduce the time spent for recruitment. And I'm mentioning this because if you go to any recruitment team, they have KPIs. The time to recruit, they have a deadline. You can't, maybe an average of maybe 5 days. So if that is your target, you will do everything possible to achieve your 5 days. But then you may be missing on the effectiveness part. You may be missing on very good talent that you could take your time, get the support of a digital tool and platform to help you do a very good job. Systems, multi-recruitment channels. I've seen this happening in some French companies, where they would give you maybe some sort of a pre-assessment. So record a video, answer these 3 questions, and then the team can take their time and sift through your responses rather than going through 3,000 CVs. So that means, okay, black and white, gone, red and blue on the right side. It becomes very subjective. So bringing some of these tools together would enable your team become a bit more effective. And so maybe just this one is just coming in just to break the ice again. So if you want just a wild guess, I mean, you don't need to ask Brother Google. Just take a wild guess. When do you think AI was created? Okay, by the way, the first one is 1957. So don't hold me to that. I do know when Ghana got independence. Or you have B, which is 1969, the year humans landed on the moon. Or you have C, 1984, when the Terminator hit the theaters. Or 1994, when Mandela becomes South Africa's first president. So you can put your answer in the chat. Let's just take a wild guess. By the way, who knows when AI was created? Just take a wild guess. Let's see. 1957, 1969, 1984, and 1994. Just take a pause, take a wild guess. Let's see. Okay, I see some answers coming in. I'm waiting for a bit more. Okay, maybe some people are asking Brother Google. Okay, let's see. Just take a moment and put your answer in the chat. It's a wild guess. It's a wild guess. Okay. All right. So let me just bring my slide back up. Okay. All right. All right. I see some coming in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So it's between 1950 and 1956 and 1957. That's when the first machine learning game was created, between that. So you think about it, and why is it that 2 years ago, ChatGPT became so famous that everybody thought, I mean, AI was just born recently, So there's so many platforms that we're implementing, that some of the technologies have been coming from way back, but how fast we as leaders are able to adopt them to help us in our organization is the problem. Okay. All right. So I'll just move on quickly to onboarding. We all know first impressions last a lifetime. You can use gamification tools. So the screenshot you see is a serious game that was designed by Abeyie Innovation Studios as part of their employee handbook. When a new person joined the company, it is a game, an interactive game that allows people to know more about the company. And so you can play that game and interact with the HR and get to ask a few questions. So you can use some of these exciting tools to make the first day of your employee memorable. Knowledge management systems are also on the rise. Leaders can use that to, create a database of articles, best practices for organization, so that when somebody joins the organization anew, we are not looking for, Mabel, can you send the new employee the document or the report on, change management? You have a system where you have filed, you have it in alphabetical order, and you give access to anybody who joins the company to refresh their memory on institutional knowledge. So these are some of the things that are being done by organizations today to bring people up to speed. And I think two more, the last level development. So engagement and progression. Organizations are using collaboration tools. I mentioned Slack, I mentioned Asana, I mentioned Microsoft Suite. Some of the platforms are very collaborative and robust flexi working. These are models that companies are introducing to ensure that people are having a balance between work and life. People can work remotely and we can still track their performance, and they do not necessarily have to be physically present in the office. Self-service for empowered teams. I remember when Vodafone Group launched Toby, which is an AI chats platform, which was for the employees. You can ask about different things, your date of birth, your employee ID, and different things. So the employee is empowered to make decisions. They don't always have to walk up to fourth floor, third floor to go and ask an HR manager simple things about what their glyco or their health insurance number is. These are things that you can do to empower your teams. Online learning. It enables your staff, wherever they are, to pick up a course of their interest based on maybe their development plan to learn. I know a number of companies. This week, we spoke to one company who said, we give our people Coursera, we give our people this platform to be able to build themselves. And people analytics, I mentioned it also earlier, that if you can understand what's happening with your people, a very interesting example I will use is sick leave. If companies have tools that can even measure or manage sick leaves, at the end of the year, when you're trying to negotiate your health insurance packages, you know how many people took sick leave in the year. So do you need to boost your health insurance package, or you need to put a gym in your organization? That's what people analytics helps you to do. Because sometimes we can be investing our monies in solutions in the organization that is just a nice to have, but there's no data backing it. There's no substantial evidence as to why we need to increase salary from this to this. Maybe it's not the salary, maybe they need flexible working. So, and people analytics is one of the areas that digital leaders are championing to ensure that the HR is not just managing booking and flights and hotel accommodation, but their HR is also managing the analytics of their people. It's so important for any leader that really wants to go far or to be effective to know what the numbers are. There's also another area of people analytics, the connections in the organization. Sometimes there's one person in your team, everybody goes to them for information. Sometimes they can be overwhelmed because they are the people who have been there for 10 years. They have all the institutional knowledge. So everybody comes, oh, go to this person. Go. So the person becomes so worked out and overwhelmed, but you don't know why this person is taking a lot of sick leave. So maybe that's where you understand your analytics to say, maybe it's time to train the trainer, it's time to disseminate informations and all of that. So this is just, and the very last part is, okay, I think retention also speaks to the performance, the development, communities and communication. What tools are your people using to communicate? Is it WhatsApp? Is it Telegram? Is it Workplace by Facebook? Is it Yammer or Viva Engage? What platforms are you making available so that when somebody is not available, they can still be in touch with the team? Reward and compensation, different tools that people can use and track performance all year round. Then the very last part are exits. And I'm very happy about this because exit doesn't sound very nice when somebody has to leave your company, but sometimes it's needful. And I've seen organizations who are creating company groups. So you leave the company and then there's an alumni group created on LinkedIn where people who have worked with your company are there. They keep abreast. The company keeps them updated because they are sort of the best people to recommend you. So you don't just cut ties with people and you have no idea where your people are. Some companies are doing a very good job with alumni organizations or groups on different platforms. And some have also provided retention perks that you can go, come back based on ABC. So people are allowed to keep their phone numbers. People are allowed to keep certain things as a way to say the doors are still open for you to come back. So if you look at the employee life cycle, there are different things you can implement as a leader on various levels to keep your people effective, to keep your people engaged, productive, efficient. And I just hope that you'll be able to pick a few ideas. I would have loved to also hear what you are doing in your space. So if you have a minute, you can put that in the chat. In closing, I'm just going to quote Jack Welch, the founder of GE, and he talks about this quote: willingness to change is a strength, even if it means plunging part of your company into total confusion for a while. When we talk about digital transformation, a lot of people would start bringing up all the cons, the negative side of it. Oh, have we thought about the data? Oh, have we thought about this? And I always say somebody is miles ahead. So the time you're using to overthink whether you should implement A or B, somebody is already doing, your competitor is already doing it. So you need to think fast, you need to act fast. So sometimes it may cause a bit of uneasiness. People will say, hey, all of a sudden, hey, our company, now when you come to the reception, there's a tablet for you to enter the name and take your picture. Hey, people would say, when did we start doing these things? Yes, it's so that you can track people that come to visit and all of that. So let's take the bull by the horn. Another last quote he shares is that an organization's ability to learn and translate that learning into action rapidly is the ultimate competitive advantage. So that's all I have, and I'll love to get some questions from you. I'd love to get some comments from you, and I hope that this was useful for you. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you learned something. All right, so I'm going to hand over back to Sarah Jessie.
Okay, thank you, Joy. Thank you, Joy. Do we have any adverts? So at least you can have a little break before we take your questions. Yes, let's see any commercial break that we have. Thank you.
All right, let's do that.
There's something in human nature that compels us to reach the next level. Whether you're working from a corner office or a kitchen table, leading a congregation or a classroom, measuring results in percentages or personal progress, we are all fueled by a desire to do better for ourselves and those around us. We've created an event to be the spark that ignites that desire into action. Live to Lead is a global event bringing people together from more than 30 countries around the world. You'll be challenged, encouraged, and inspired as you meet other men and women like you who are learning how to live their lives to lead others. Hear from some of the greatest leaders and influencers in the world. This year, for the first time ever, your host site will choose the content that will best serve you and your region and meet the values of your community. You will hear from a select combination of these simulcast speakers. John C. Maxwell is a #1 New York Times bestselling author and Horatio Alger Award winner. He was identified as the #1 leader in business by the AMA and the world's most influential leadership expert by Inc. magazine in 2014. Four-time Olympian Shantae Lowe is a world record-holding high jumper and gold medalist who has inspired millions with her story on platforms like ESPN and the O Network. Michael Jr. brings laughter and encouragement to audiences all over the world as he inspires audiences to discover and activate their purpose. His unique blend of comedy and motivation has earned him features on stages from TEDx to The Tonight Show. John Gordon has written 15 bestsellers, including The Energy Bus, The Power of Positive Leadership, and The Carpenter, which was one of 2014's top 5 business books of the year. His clients include Dell, Publix, Southwest Airlines, and several NFL, NBA, and MLB coaches and championship teams. Additional speakers may be international speaker and author Valerie Burton, Chris Robinson, who leads a team of more than 50,000 speakers, trainers, and coaches worldwide, Malcolm Gladwell, who has been called one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine, or serial entrepreneur and business expert Brandon Dawson. For the past 11 years, host sites around the globe have been hosting Live to Lead events in communities near you. Whether you run an organization with hundreds of employees like a hospital, bank, or school system, or you are a small business, church, or solo entrepreneur, your local host site is here to serve you and your teams. You can find the Live to Lead location and date in your area by going to livetolead.com and clicking Find a Local Site. This is your chance to grow you, to grow your leaders, and connect with other leaders in your community with a growth mindset. You never know who you will meet or how this day will impact your future. The only regret you will have is not being in the room. Live to Lead. Where in the world will you attend?
Awesome. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, as we say, being a digital leader is even attending Live to Lead in a hybrid way. I can even attend Live to Lead sitting here in Ghana, in Geneva, and in Ghana. Those of you who can sign up, please sign up in person and also hybrid. Right, Joy, thank you so much. This has been an excellent masterclass.
Thank you.
There is so much in there. Sam, what do you think?
Amazing, amazing, amazing. That was great. Now the question on my mind, Joy, is this. A lot of the time, our concern is how this technology is replacing jobs. And we talk about the changes in the work environment, and a lot of professions are being wiped away or transformed. Meanwhile, we in our schools are still teaching these old things without any. What are you seeing in terms of where you sit in the transformation of work, and what can we do to get our people who are coming out of school and they are not getting any job because the jobs are changed and they are still learning the old jobs? So what is your take, from the technology perspective?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question because that always pops up. And if you look at all the stats that's going on, even pictures on Google, when you talk about humans and technology, you see the robot and the human meeting this way. And people say jobs are going away. But I like the word you use. You said the jobs are being transformed. So, in as much as technology is wiping away some jobs, which have the common element that is being wiped away is um, the repetitive nature, the manual nature of that job. That's what is going away. Because, I mean, who wants to be sitting on a manufacturing line the whole day just putting a pineapple in a box? Yes, the person is getting money for it. But then how is that even engaging your cognitive ability? So that's where technology is coming in to provide a robot or a machine that will package the pineapple in the box so that you, the human, can now find a new way of a new job which has to do with your cognitive ability, your creativity, your ability to maybe design the customer experience for those going to have the boxed pineapple. So a lot of the jobs are going away, but 3 times more of the jobs are being created. So I always tell people that your ability to learn is a critical skill for this age. Sometimes I have people in my team, they know they come and say, Joy, how can I use Otter AI to download this? And I ask, the first question I ask them is, how did I learn how to use Otter AI? Yes, because first thing, you have to be open-minded. So the moment, and then have a system that allows you to learn. So for example, I always have these newsletters here and there, which I subscribe to. So I'm always getting new content, fresh content from what's happening in Africa, what are the trends of technology, what companies are doing. So very quickly, these things are at the top of mind. So when I'm engaging in work, I'm always thinking about, how I saw this thing on a newsletter. How can I implement it in my workplace? So that is creating a system where you are constantly learning. Then when you approach with a situation where you need to actually practice, you get this new platform that is supposed to transcribe by AI. Just go to YouTube, go to Coursera, just Google, how do I transcribe with Otter AI? And you have somebody who has recorded a perfect video for you to give you step-by-step direction. So the challenge is with us not being open-minded, not having a system for learning. So everything we have to ask, how do I do this? But the person you are asking, how did they learn how to do it? So the opportunities are there. Google is there every day. You can always put a question there and you get some feedback. So I'll just encourage everybody, because you didn't learn it in school. Because by the time you left school, and I wanted to mention this in my presentation, when I was doing my dissertation, during my master's program, I did a study on the obsolescence of skills. I did a study on skills, how the graduates, their skills get obsolete with time. And I did a comparison between Ghana and France, because that's where I was studying, and then my home country was Ghana. And it was actually a common thread that after 5 years, what you studied in school literally becomes obsolete.
Yeah.
After 5 years. So if in Ghana, it takes you 6 years to get a job, by the time you land a job for what you went to study in school, everything you learned is old. And what you're going to implement in the workforce is totally old. So there is the need for people to even volunteer, practice what you have learned, upgrade your skills on a daily basis. That way, you will not be obsolete when the opportunity comes your way. So it's basically a culture of learning, which that's what CTL is doing. We are creating opportunity to learn every single day. Yes, that's the long answer to your short question.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Over to you.
Yeah, yes. Before I ask my questions, I'm looking through the comments and chats to see whether there are a lot of commendations. Nana Tele is saying that the need for volunteering is key. No, that is Natalia, sorry. It's key. Nana Tele say it's very educative. Abofia just says we have to use technology to enhance our skills. It's going down. Okay, and then Portia Amonu says insightful. Thanks, Joy. So lots of commendation over here. I don't see any questions. So Joy, just like you said, whatever you learned in school is really obsolete even before you get onto the job market. So even if we are in school, are you saying that we should be even educating ourselves in the new trends and therefore joining networks or community platforms that are sharing this? One question that I want to ask is that those of us, as you mentioned, Uncle Sam and myself, since we are BBC, we were born before computer. We were born before computer. How do we maybe get reverse mentorship? Is there a platform where some of us who are really not conversant can educate ourselves with the younger generations? Because the younger generation are very nimble when it comes to the digital space.
Yeah.
What is your recommendation? How can we get reverse mentorship?
Yes, I think a very quick answer to that will be bring them closer to you. I mean, if you're in a team, find somebody who is very savvy with these things close to you, because automatically every single thing you do, they have another way of doing it. But you know what I found very amazing, Sarah, remember our meeting we had the last time, and we were looking at some different platforms. Even though I always say, she says born before computers, there were certain platforms Sarah Jessie was just, from designer to this. I just went like, SJ, you are so on trend, because some of the platforms you were using, I have not even heard them before. So because I know you have a culture of continuous learning. You're always trying to find what's new, what's better, how can I improve? And so some of the things I was learning from you. But I think CTL, the team is full of millennials and Gen Z. And I think eventually it will rub on Uncle Sam. It's rubbing on him, because every single day he may ask for something, and then we show him, he said, hey, Mobio, And I think that in that way, he's also learning. So just bring people like that close to you. Last week or last 2 weeks, he talked about even in the boardroom, bring them into the boardroom, the decision making. They may not be the final voice, but the way you are going to implement it, they may just have a brilliant way of doing it. So I think that's a good way of having reverse mentoring. I kindly don't think there's a platform that's offering that. So it's a mentorship program, and we're saying, okay, older people come in and we're going to give you mentorship. I've not seen anything like that. It could be a business opportunity for somebody listening to that.
Okay, right. And I can see from Emmanuel Adentri Jr., who says, Joy, please, how can one, yeah, thank you. How can one create a personal learning system to stay updated? That is a very relevant subject.
Yes.
Okay, and let me look at the next one from Natalia. You can take the two together. Timing is pertinent in the digital space. So I want to ask, how do you do a good search on the internet? If you can take these two.
Yes, that's also a very important question. So for Emmanuel's question on how do you create a personal learning system, I think I mentioned a few pointers a bit earlier, but first you need to know your goal. So like I said, we all are evolving. I mean, as of the time I was studying international human resource management, I was doing digital projects. I didn't see the lines between careers. Okay, so I studied economics and I'm an HR. We have a very interesting way of drawing those lines with very thick borders. So when I'm HR, I cannot be anything else. But I had the opportunity to be providing services because these are things I enjoy doing, not knowing that actually this was a new career that you can merge with your human development or your people skills. Because if you go into a company that's doing digital transformation, you can apply your HR and apply your digital skills. Now, your digital skill is like your utility. You need it, whichever phase that you have. So first of all, have your goal as to which area you want to pursue. There was a platform that was providing a free assessment on your jobs for the future. You can take the assessment and then it will tell you what future jobs you could potentially do. Today, I don't know if it's still available, but this was powered by Future Jobs by Vodafone, but I don't know if they still have it. So you take the test and you know, okay, financial sector or this or that. So even just knowing the kind of digital skills that exist or the digital jobs that exist is even key to start with. People don't even know that something like automation specialists exist or robotics engineer exist. But once you keep abreast with what's going on through newsletters, through listening to podcasts that have technology as the root, you can start to hear these language, this lingua, to be able to help you decide where you want to go. Then once you have that, know the kind of information you want to imbibe. I'm on Microsoft platforms, so I do get daily updates from them on different things they are doing when they were launching co-pilots, when they brought these systems. And so I get to understand things very early before it even becomes a very widely known thing. So you can do that. And for me, like you mentioned, that's pinning onto the second question about the validity of the information and the timing. So now if you have a system where you get this information, of course, verify your facts as well. But when you do search or you do search for anything on the internet, first of all, just make sure that your source, it's a verified source. Check the URL, check the page, just make sure that they are a reliable source. Double check with a number of pages to be sure that this information is widely accepted, and not just pick your facts from one platform. At least multiple sources would help. And then you look at the dates or you look at the article. Sometimes today, Medium and a number of the platforms that actually share articles are doing a good job by putting when it was published. So if your information is 6-7 years older, chances are that that information is a bit outdated. YouTube would also tell you when the video was uploaded. There was one video I was seeing, it was uploaded 9 years ago. I just said, oh, I need another video. Because 9 years ago, it may be relevant, but a lot may have changed. So always just look at the dates when they were published or when the videos were uploaded. At least it can help you with the quality of the information you have there. So I think that would be my answers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And you did talk about the fact that maybe you graduated about 6 years ago and now you have found a job, and therefore whatever you have is already irrelevant, and you need to upskill. I know you do have a program. I know you do have a program yourself called Sherock for women who have took time off to raise their family, and they are re-entering the job market. So is there a program also for people who have been graduated a longer time and they are now gotten into a new job and they are re-entering? Is there a program that they have that will help them to upscale before they
yes. Okay, so the Sherock program, I mean, that's the most very relevant one for this call. So for any woman that has been on career breaks, you realize that you go home either for childbearing reasons or caring or redundancy, sometimes even voluntary. That period between when you stop working, you become a bit rusty. So Sherock Women, if you go to sherockwomen.com, you'll be able to read everything about the program. And if you're a woman, you can join that community. And every year we do have boot camps that we run you through some of the latest digital skills, from the latest email features, the latest meeting platform features to data, some basic, some advanced. So we cut across those areas. In terms of for the general audience, Abeyie Innovation Studio, I used to head or lead the team there. I'm no longer leading the team, but I still work as a digital consultant. So we do have an annual volunteer program that we've had over 200 people go through that program in the last 4 years. So it's fully remote because we realized that people from all over the world, people who are in between jobs, want an opportunity to work remotely. So using our systems, you get to learn a whole lot of things. I have somebody who landed a job and he left. So he called me back a few months later and said, I don't care how much you are paying me, even if you are not paying me, I prefer to work in an organization that is organized. We have systems that we use to run our project rather than a disorganized organization, which is in person. We've had a number of our volunteers who have been able to take on full-time jobs, sometimes right in the middle of the volunteer program, because it's so effective and it helps people to pick up like these skills very quickly. So you can just follow us on LinkedIn or check out our website, abeyiestudios.com, and just look out for when the volunteer program would be open, and you get to work with a diverse team of people on these tech things. Yeah. Yes.
Excellent.
Basically.
Okay, I can see just two more comments. Emmanuel Adentri Jr. says, please, is Meta AI a reliable source of information?
Yeah, that's so any AI, wherever you go and you see an AI chatbot, including ChatGPT, it's the content that has been fed into the system that it regurgitates for you. So if you want to know if the source is trusted, once they give you the information, they write at the bottom of it that make sure you fact check before you use this information, because Meta has fed its AI with all the information from different open sources, from their own content. So it will be giving you what it has been fed, and you don't know what it has been fed with. So check that, and then maybe check other sources if what you're going to use it for is very crucial. Yeah, don't just pick. So even today, the lecturers are advising students that if you go on ChatGPT, you use it for your work, make sure that you double check before you put it out there.
Excellent. Great. Joy, I think that's all that we have for today from the comments. I don't have any more comments, but before we go, I think a little bit more announcements that the book for this month, the month of August, is it Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Right?
Yes,
That's the book
for
that
that.
we're going to. Yes, and I think I'll leave Sam to announce that to us. Sam, are you able to speak?
Yes, there's so much noise, but now it's cool, Kakra. So I
Okay.
just want to thank Joy, and it's been a great presentation. It's great learning, and I want to thank you, Joy, for stepping up and doing this for us. We love you, and we know that you're going to do great things here and beyond. Thank you so very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Live to Lead is coming up, so guys, get ready. We have only 8 weeks to Live to Lead, so don't miss it. Get your companies. We are running around getting the people to register. Get your company, get the teams. Call us. We will come and explain it to your teams. If you're buying in groups, you will have a discount. So please reach out and let's come and brief your team and set you up for Live to Lead. It's going to be amazing on the 4th. We've secured the UPSA auditorium. That's where the in-person is going to be. There will be a virtual session also for those who are not in Accra or those who are living outside the country. They can join Live to Lead. So please, it's for you. Get ready for us. The book of the month of August is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Do I have a copy somewhere here? Yeah, I should have a copy somewhere there. All
Okay.
right.
We
Yes,
can
I do
see
have.
you. Your video
I
is
do.
not working, Sam.
Is it okay?
No,
Yeah.
we
So I have a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad I wanted to show, but I can't find it. But
okay.
Rich Dad Poor Dad is an amazing book which enables you to think through what you are doing. Think of yourself: are you going to be an employee or are you going to be an employer? Think of the skills you need in to be able to grow. So please get that book, start reading with us, and at the end of the month we'll come around and share our summary, and we encourage you to also share your learning as we go along. So the book for August is Rich Dad Poor Dad. We are getting to
There it
the
is.
end. All right, that's the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, the man who had two fathers. How many fathers do you have? All right. The growth journey is on. We are getting to the end of cohort 9. People are learning and growing. So we want to encourage you to enroll for the cohort 10. People have already started enrolling for cohort 10. So those are the quick announcements. Unless I've missed something, Joy, then you can fill in. But otherwise, I want to thank Joy. I want to thank you, Sarah, for standing in, and I will leave the stage for you to do the closing. Sarah.
Right. Okay. So, with all the learnings that we've had, we want to say a big thank you for being with us again this Saturday, because without you, we would not have had a program. So, thank you for your participation. And also a big thank you to Joy for putting all this masterclass information together. Do not forget to reach out to us if you need more information and you want to go in that. CTL Africa is there to provide that support for you. And also, if you need coaching, Uncle Sam and the team are always ready to provide that support for you. So until next week, same time, is CTL, the leadership platform, saying goodbye to you, and have a good Sunday. And as Uncle Sam will say, don't forget to go to church if you're a Christian. Thank you and bye bye.